Discover the heartwarming truth. Family abandoned my son's funeral for an incredible $300K trust. Emma stood at the edge of the gravesite, her heart a crumpled mess. The sun's rays glared down, mocking the heavy pall of grief that surrounded her. Friends and neighbors gathered, all wearing expressions of sorrow. They whispered condolences, but she felt a strange chill in the air. Whispers of a trust fund, a 300,000 nest egg left by Jake's father, the uninvited ghost haunting their lives, echoed around her small Midwestern town like a storm gathering strength. As much as the death of her son churned her insides, the thought of family she hadn't seen in years lurking nearby made her skin crawl. Jake had been the light of her life, his laughter a melody that played in her heart. Every pancake breakfast served at the diner, every late-night homework session was wrapped in the joy he brought her. Now, that joy lay cold beneath the earth. She remembered the way his eyes lit up at the thought of adventure. Just the other day, he had talked about road trips, the kind where they would pile in the car, music blaring, and take the winding roads without a plan. How could such a bright spirit be snuffed out so suddenly? Neighbors reached out to her, shoulders brushed in solidarity. Emma felt their love, but the warmth barely penetrated the raw ache in her chest. Just a week ago, she had taken pride in providing for her son, pouring her heart into every plate she served. In the wake of this tragedy, her entire world felt upended. The community had rallied around her like a comforting quilt, but the clouds of resentment began to gather as the rumblings of her estranged family reached a fever pitch. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she wiped her tears, her mother's sister appeared distant and entirely uninvited. Emma's stomach twisted. Their absence during Jake's life had been haunting, and now they were here, draped in black, presenting an image of mourners eager to sympathize. They slid together, whispering, and Emma could practically hear the clinking coins of deceit. Could they be after his trust fund? She fought against the anger bubbling up from within. Her gaze met the townsfolk, fierce in their resolve to support her. They already sensed the undercurrents of discontent. Just as the pastor began the service, a mix of indignation and sorrow crashed over her. Emma felt a fire ignite within, a voice demanding to be heard. Why are you really here? Emma's voice cut through the silence, sharp and unwavering. You weren't here for him. Her family flinched, surprise etched on their faces, the mourners murmuring in unison. The tension electrified the space, eyes widening, breaths holding. This was at the moment where everything clashed. As Emma pressed onward, the ripple of her question echoed through the years of hurt now spilling open. And in that moment, she realized that the trust wasn't just money, but a test, a challenge shaping her fate ahead. Would she reach for the anger or gather the love around her? A whisper of determination brushed against her heart, guiding her as she stood between what was and what could be, and as her family shrunk in vulnerability, a thought settled deeply in her mind. True treasure had never been crafted in dollars. It was in the embrace of her community, steadfast and unwavering. Emma's heart raced as the weight of her question filled the air, reverberating off the chilled ground that held her son. The silence stretched on, thick and palpable, as her family shifted uncomfortably, their expressions revealing nothing but shock. Eyes from the crowd roamed back and forth, glances darting between her and the newcomers. This was not the farewell Jake deserved, and she could feel the warmth of her community bracing her, pushing her to stand firm. Is this about the money? Her sister's voice broke the silence, shrill and defensive. You're the only one making it about that. That's what you think? Emma shot back, fire in her eyes. You came here now, where were you when he needed you? A murmur spread through the crowd, their solidarity flickering like candlelight. Emma could see some heads nodding, others frowning. The emotions swirled, a mixture of support, outrage, and sorrow. They were all feeling the weight of her words, knowing the truth behind them was heavy and raw. Her mother's sister straightened her back, her eyes icy. You don't understand the sacrifices we made. We wanted to be there, but life it gets complicated. Complicated? Emma's voice climbed, each word escaping her throat like a small explosion. You missed his graduation, his first car, every birthday. And now, you show up to collect some trust fund? This isn't a game. A soft whimper pierced the air, and Emma turned to see Mrs. Klein, a neighbor with teary eyes, clutching her handkerchief. Emma, you know how families get sometimes. It's messy, she whispered, her voice tender but shaky. But it doesn't have to be, Emma replied, her own voice trembling now. The emotions crashed over her, a wave of grief and anger pulling at her heart. She felt lightheaded. She longed to channel all this turmoil into something more than hurt, a lesson for those gathered here. Jake deserved love, all the love in the world, not just when it was convenient. Her words came out passionate and raw, spilling from a heart that was both heavy and bursting. And then, she locked eyes with her estranged family. I am so done with the masks. If you're here for the trust, then let us not kid ourselves. I'm not here to divide what little remains. I want my son remembered for what he truly was, a light, not a dollar sign. Behind her, the onlookers shifted, some sniffling, others nodding, visibly affected by her heartfelt plea. Strength surged through Emma, igniting hope in her chest. This wasn't just a battle for a fund, it was an emotional reclamation of her son's spirit. The pastor said a few comforting words amid the tension, his voice a soothing balm. But the white noise of murmured apologies and whispered regrets behind her didn't escape her ears. She felt a sense of clarity wash over her. Emma took a deep breath, her heart still racing but something within her starting to shift. The real question is, what will we do to honor him? As silence fell again, she stared into the eyes of her family, and for the first time, she wondered if they felt even a sliver of understanding, a hint of guilt. She had a long way to go to heal from Jake's loss, but perhaps a door was cracking open, a chance for connection despite the pain. But as she felt the tension blend with a fragile hope, she knew there was an even deeper truth waiting to be unwrapped, hidden beneath the layers of animosity. What if this trust wasn't just a test of their loyalties? What if it held the key to something more profound, something that could tie them all together in the spirit of Jake? And just as she stood poised on this precipice of revelation, she heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. She turned, her heart pounding anew as the familiar figure appeared at the edge of the crowd, with a voice that could shake the very ground beneath her. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she took in the figure striding confidently toward her. It was Daniel, her estranged brother, whose absence over the years had cut deep like a forgotten wound. His presence stirred a sea of memories, childhood laughter, shared adventures, but mostly the pain of betrayal and distance that had built an insurmountable wall between them. He approached slowly, a mix of concern and determination etched across his face. The surrounding murmurs quieted, all eyes glued to this unexpected reunion. For a heartbeat, the crowd held its collective breath, waiting to see if he would break the tension or add to the storm brewing within Emma. Emma, he said quietly, halting before her. I didn't know it was this bad. Those words landed like lead in the air. What do you know, Daniel? You've been gone. You're not part of this anymore. He looked down, as if the earth might swallow him whole. I know I wasn't there when he needed me. I'm sorry. His voice trembled, and for a moment, she could see the boy she grew up with, lost but desperately trying to find his way back. Do you think sorry is enough? Emma challenged, her voice raw yet vulnerable. What did you think would happen when you just disappeared? I thought. He paused, the weight of years pressing heavily on him. I thought I was protecting myself. I was afraid. But I know I shouldn't have stayed away. I was wrong. I'm just trying to understand how to help. To be part of this. That's rich, she shot back, her heart clenching. You show up now, at the worst moment of my life, and you want to help? What could you possibly do? Daniel took a step closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. I might have some information, about the trust. Something about Jake's wishes. Emma felt a shiver of intrigue dance up her spine. What do you mean? His gaze flickered to the crowd, a pulse of anxiety rippling through him. I know it sounds crazy. But Jake had plans, Emma. Plans that could change everything. What kind of plans? She could barely breathe, adrenaline kicked in, overshadowing her anger for the moment. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I didn't know how to tell you about this, but I think it was meant for you. He wanted to leave a message, something he felt strongly about. Emma's hands shook as she took the paper, her heart pounding in a furious rhythm. She unfolded it gently, reading it under the dim light filtering through the trees. Each stroke of ink felt layered with Jake's essence, brimming with love and purpose, a complexity of emotions herein that she was sure she was ready to confront, and as she scanned his words, a wellspring of emotions surged within her. Hope, confusion, pain, and a sense of connection that had been absent for far too long. She realized the truth was much richer and deeper than she'd ever known. Emma, Daniel's voice broke her thoughts. If we come together now, we can honor him properly. Because I think that's what he would have wanted. She met his gaze, searching for signs of sincerity. Could they really bridge this chasm? Was there a way to unite their broken family in the face of sorrow? Just then, as the weight of the moment settled in, Emma realized there was more at stake than just a trust fund. The essence of Jake woven within their family ties might still hold them together, a chance for healing and redemption. The air was thick with anticipation, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite in her heart. But would she be able to trust her brother again? Questions loomed ominously, and she sensed that the revelations they had yet to uncover could alter everything they thought they knew about love, loss, and family. Emma stared at Daniel, the anger still simmering beneath the surface. The paper in her hands felt almost like a lifeline, yet each word she read twisted her heart tighter. What do you know about this message? She asked, her voice steadying. Daniel inhaled deeply, his gaze drifting to the ground before he met her eyes again. I found it among his belongings. He wrote it while he was sick. There are things in there that might explain why he needed to distance himself. Distance himself? Emma felt her blood boil. From who? Me? Us? Yes, he sighed, the pain etched in his features. He cared so much about you. More than you think. He was trying to protect you from the truth, but I don't fully understand. I wish I had asked him more questions. A knot twisted in her stomach, and she folded the paper tighter, digging her nails into the soft edges. Her breath hitched. Was this about to get even deeper and more painful? What truth? Daniel glanced away again, guilt flooding his expression. Emma, I think he worried about what the trust would do to you. He might have thought you'd lose yourself in it, or that it could tear our family apart even more. Her mind raced. The fight for the trust had only ever felt like a means to keep Jake's memory alive, a way to honor him after everything after losing him. And you? You just left? You thought that was best? I shouldn't have left, I know that now. I thought it was best for me to stay out of it, to stay away from you. But I was wrong, Daniel said, urgency creeping into his voice. Trust me when I say, it's all connected. The trust, Jake, our family, there's something here we have to figure out together. Emma let out a shaky breath, waving a hand toward the paper she clutched. Then tell me. What's in that message? It talks about how he wanted you to have the choice. Not just to claim the trust fund as if it were merely money, but to decide how to honor him, to channel everything into something meaningful. A surge of hope flickered, but she couldn't grasp onto it just yet. You mean he wanted me to do something with it? Something charitable for people that need help. He wanted you to create a legacy, Emma. Not just a bank account. As she processed his words, she felt her walls begin to crack. Why should I believe you? Because he believed in you, he replied, his voice trembling. He loved you, and he believed you could be more than just a grief-stricken sister. He wanted you to thrive. The crowd around them lingered, sensing the tension, curiosity painted on their faces. Emma shaped the words in her mind carefully, the gravity of Daniel's presence weighing heavily on matters. Could she really trust this man again? Questions surged through her emotions, wrestling for dominance. What if Daniel had the answers she desperately sought? "Will you help me?" she finally asked, her heart racing. "I want to." "More than anything," Daniel replied, his eyes softening with sincerity. "Let us honor Jake, together." As they closed ranks, a fragile thread of connection pulled them both closer, an almost hopeful tether in uncertain times. Yet as they turned, ready to face whatever lay ahead, Emma felt an unsettling shiver run through her. What other truths lay hidden within the shadows of their family? The breeze shifted, carrying fragments of bygone laughter mixed with an eerie sense of dread. The journey to honor Jake might be winding, and as Emma caught Daniel's hopeful gaze, something deep inside whispered, what if uncovering the pain could lead them to the healing they so desperately needed? But ominous secrets still clung to the air, threading memories with unanswered questions, and Emma couldn't shake the feeling that the real revelations were yet to come. Emma felt the weight of Daniel's words pressing on her chest. He believed in her, Jake believed in her. Yet the reality of their situation felt suffocating. There was so much to unpack, emotions swirling in a whirlwind of grief, anger, and now this new flicker of hope. "Have you read it all?" she finally managed, her voice cracking. "No," Daniel replied, his brows furrowing. "I just skimmed. There's more in there than let us read it together." Emma's urgency bounced back as she firmed her grip on the message. The thought of potential closure honoring Jake's wishes tightened her resolve. They found a quiet spot under an old oak, the branches swaying gently as if to remind them that life still continued. Emma unfolded the letter with trembling hands, reading each line carefully. "I don't want the money to define me," she read aloud, her voice steadying as she immersed herself in Jake's words. "I need Emma to know that love is the greatest gift. I hope she uses this opportunity to make a difference." Tears filled her eyes. It was a glimpse of the brother she had lost, a reminder that even in his pain, he thought of her. "He wanted me to help others, Daniel. To channel all this into something good." "Yes," he whispered. "What could that look like for you?" The question opened up a wave of ideas. Her heart raced at the thought. Maybe a foundation, something to support kids who've lost their siblings. To help them process their grief. "That sounds incredible," Daniel encouraged. "You could create something that keeps Jake's spirit alive." As they brainstormed, ideas sparking between them, Emma felt the heaviness of her grief shift. It transformed into a flicker of purpose. "I want to make this work. I want to do it for him." Daniel's expression brightened. "And for yourself, too. You deserve to find joy amidst all this pain." But doubt lingered. "But what if I fail? What if I can't handle it?" "Then you have me," Daniel said, his hand touching hers, grounding her in that moment. "You're not alone in this. We can figure it out together." Emma looked at him, her heart battling between trust and skepticism. Could she really lean on him again? After everything that happened? "Okay," she said, taking a deep breath. "Let us do it. Let us honor Jake." As they made plans, the air around them grew lighter. Emma felt as if shackles were falling away. But just as hope filled the space, a shadow loomed, one she couldn't ignore. The shadows weren't just from their grief, they hinted at deeper secrets buried beneath the surface of their family. Jake's trust wasn't the only thing at stake. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with rich oranges and blues, Emma turned to Daniel. "What if there are things we don't know? What if there are people who don't want us to do this?" Daniel's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his features. "Then we have to be careful. We need to uncover all the pieces of this puzzle." Emma's heart raced again, a mix of excitement and dread. What secrets could there possibly be? As they gathered their things to leave, Emma took one last glance at the paper, a sense of unease creeping in. There was something out there, waiting. Unfinished business loomed large, and they were just beginning to scratch the surface. What kind of enemies hidden within their own family could stand in their way? Emma and Daniel walked back through the park, the cool evening air wrapping around them like a comforting shawl. But the warmth of hope was shadowed by a growing sense of dread. Every step they took echoed with questions that needed answers, questions they had no choice but to confront. "What do you think Jake meant by people who don't want us to do this?" Emma asked, her brow furrowing. "I don't know," Daniel admitted, chewing his bottom lip, deep in thought. "Maybe there's something about the trust. Something he didn't want to come to light." Emma's heart quickened. She had to know. "We need to look into it. Can you help me?" "Of course," he replied, his eyes locking onto hers with determination. "We'll find out what Jake was trying to tell us. But it won't just be about the money, it's about his intentions." Despite the anxiety bubbling within her, a flicker of excitement ignited in Emma's chest. This was stepping into the unknown together, a challenge that felt almost thrilling. But as they made their way to her house, the darkness of uncertainty loomed over her mind, pressing on her chest. Once inside, Emma was relieved to find the house empty. She preferred the silence, a chance to gather her thoughts. She and Daniel settled on the living room floor, the warm glow from the lamps creating an intimate space. "Okay, let us start with what we know," she said, her hands brushing against the letter as if it were a map to a hidden treasure. "Jake wanted me to make a difference. What if this trust the money is tied to something larger?" Daniel nodded, leaning closer. "We should look for any documents he might have left. Maybe the will or anything related to the trust. There could be specifics about what he envisioned it for." Emma rummaged through the drawers of her father's desk, each item she touched a fragment of her brother's life. Photographs, old school papers, postcards filled with memories, all tinged with loss. She felt the ache of nostalgia and sadness as she sifted through. "Found it." She held up a manila envelope marked with Jake's handwriting. The flutter of hope surged as she slid her fingers along the edges before opening it. Inside, she discovered a neatly folded piece of paper, the will, and another document labeled Trust Agreement. "Wow," Daniel said, leaning in to get a better look. "That's it, we might find our answers here." With each sentence they read aloud, Emma felt a tug at her heart. Jake had designated a specific charity, one that supported families who had lost children. They were to use the funds to create retreats, a safe space for healing. "This is amazing, but also complicated," Emma murmured, swallowing hard as she turned to Daniel. "What if we face opposition from other family members? What if they don't agree with Jake's wishes?" Daniel's face grew serious. "In that case, we should prepare for a fight. We need to be united on this, Emma. No one can undermine what he wanted." "Right," she whispered, her eyes welling with tears. This was about so much more than just money. It was about honoring Jake's legacy, something she wouldn't let anyone tear apart. Just then, a loud knock rattled the door, cutting through the calm. Emma's heart plummeted. Who could it be? "Stay quiet," she whispered to Daniel, her breath hitching. "Let me check." As she crept toward the door, the familiar sense of dread returned, twisting in her stomach. She pulled the door open slowly, peeking through. Standing there was her Aunt Carla, a look of fury etched across her face. The sharpness in her gaze made Emma's pulse quicken, and a chill ran down her spine. "What are you doing digging through Jake's things?" Carla snapped, and Emma recoiled slightly. "We were just saving it for a rainy day." "Don't think I won stop you," she interrupted, her voice cutting through the air like glass. "You don't have any right to manage that trust." Emma's heart raced, fear colliding with determination. This sudden confrontation had opened a door she wasn't prepared for, and the stakes just rose incredibly high. How could she know? Was the only thought racing through Emma's mind as she stared at her aunt, realizing this was just the beginning of the battle ahead. What had Jake really left behind? And more importantly, would they be able to uncover the truth before it was too late? Emma stood frozen at the door, her heart pounding in her chest. Aunt Carla's presence felt like a storm cloud, ominous and full of potential chaos. The tension between them crackled like static, and Emma's mind raced. Did her aunt have any idea what they had just uncovered? Was she here to intimidate them, or was there more at stake? I didn't mean any harm, Aunt Carla, Emma stammered, trying to regain her composure. We just wanted to look through Jake's belongings. We think he left something important behind. I don't care what you think, Carla spat, crossing her arms tightly. You've always been too young to understand how these things work. That trust belongs to the family, not some misguided dreams you and your little friend have cooked up. Daniel glanced nervously at Emma, and she could see the worry reflected in his eyes. She took a deep breath, fighting to clear her mind. This wasn't just about her now, it was about honoring Jake's wishes. Jake wanted to help people, Aunt Carla, Emma said firmly, stepping closer, her voice steadying with conviction. He believed in creating a safe space for families like ours. This isn't just about money, it's about legacy and healing. With each word, she felt a growing strength within her, a fire igniting that had previously laid dormant. Maybe she could stand up to Carla after all, Carla sneered, unimpressed. Healing? That's a nice fantasy, but let's be real. Do you really think you can manage this? You're just a kid, Emma. What do you know about handling money or running a charity? Emma swallowed hard, but her determination surged. It doesn't matter how old I am. If Jake wanted this trust to help people, then I'll do everything in my power to see that it happens. Do you honestly think anyone will support you? Aunt Carla shot back, her tone harsh. You'll be outmatched by people who know how this works. You'll end up losing everything. Daniel moved slightly closer, his presence a silent encouragement. Emma knew how important this was to him as well. Maybe you don't believe in what Jake wanted, but we do. And we won back down. A pregnant silence hung in the air, tension thick as molasses. Carla's expression shifted momentarily, an inkling of doubt flickered in her eyes, only to be overshadowed by resentment. Whatever confidence she had was built on a shaky foundation, and Emma felt she was slowly chipping away at it. You think it's that easy? Carla snapped, her voice laced with venom. You, a couple of kids playing at being adults. This is serious money. You'll just be throwing your lives away. Maybe, Daniel said quietly, but if that's what it takes to honor Jake, then we don't mind. Maybe it's worth it. Emma turned to him, feeling a swell of gratitude. They were in this together, and for the first time since Jake's passing, she felt a glimmer of hope. Leave now, before you make things worse for yourself, Carla warned, her eyes narrowing. I'll be watching you both, and I want to let you destroy what's left of this family. Then watch us, Emma fired back, surprising even herself with the fierceness in her voice. Because we're not going anywhere. With that, she pulled the door shut, the click of the latch echoing in her ears. The moment it closed, the adrenaline drained, leaving emptiness and exhaustion behind. Emma sank against the door, heart racing. That was intense, Daniel breathed, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. Are you okay? Emma nodded slowly, though her mind was racing. They had just scratched the surface, and now, with Carla lurking in the shadows, she knew the real fight was only beginning. What if she tries to take control? Emma whispered, fear slicing through her resolve. Daniel placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Then we stand our ground. We have to prepare for whatever comes next. As the weight of their reality settled on her, the uncertainty clawed at Emma again. They might have a plan, but would it be enough to protect Jake's dream from the darkness threatening to engulf it? And so, the question hung heavy in the air as she realized they were far from done. What lay ahead was unknown, and soon they would have to step into the fray, ready to fight for what they believed in. But could that flicker of hope survive the storm? Emma stared at the closed door, her heart still racing. It felt surreal, the sting of Aunt Carla's words echoing in her mind. Serious money. Those two words weighed heavily, wrapping around her thoughts like a suffocating vine. She turned to Daniel, who was still standing close, his brows knitted in concern. Do you really think we can do this? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The bravado from moments earlier had dwindled, leaving uncertainty in its wake. Of course we can, Daniel replied, though the tremor in his voice made Emma wonder if he believed it completely. "We just need a plan. We need to find a way to prove to everyone that we're serious." "Prove what?" "That kids can handle something monumental." Her frustration began to bubble up. "This is a huge responsibility. What if we fail?" "Failure isn't an option," he said, his eyes firm. "Remember what Jake wanted. He believed in helping others. We owe it to him to try. I owe it to him to try." His words hit Emma like a jolt of electricity. She took a deep breath, feeling a spark of determination reigniting within her. "Okay," she exhaled. "We need to figure out what exactly Jake left behind and how it connects to that trust." Daniel nodded, the hint of a smile breaking through the tension. "Let us go back to his place. There has to be more clues there. Maybe a letter or something." They started towards the door, but Emma hesitated. What if Carla is waiting? What if she tries to sabotage us? "Then we outsmart her," Daniel said, his voice steady. "We'll be smart about this. Let us think through everything before we act." Emma felt a flash of gratitude for Daniel's unwavering support. They had become a team, bound by their shared purpose. With a new sense of resolve, she pushed the door open, the light spilling into the hallway like a beacon of hope. The air outside felt different. The weight of Carla's threats receded slightly, replaced by a cool breeze that invigorated her spirit. They made their way to Jake's old apartment, each step bringing fresh determination. Once they arrived, Emma unlocked the door and stepped inside. The familiar smell of Jake's favorite incense lingered in the air, a bittersweet reminder of his vibrant presence. She turned to Daniel. "Where should we start?" "Let us check his desk. He was always writing something." He nodded toward the cluttered surface. Papers and books were strewn about, remnants of a life full of dreams. In the corner, a dusty cardboard box caught Emma's eye. "Help me with this?" She pointed, curiosity bubbling up as she crouched down. Together, they lifted the box onto the desk. Dust flew up in a small cloud, and Emma laughed nervously. "Guess it's been a while since anyone looked in here." Daniel grinned. "Let us see what treasures we can uncover." They started sifting through the papers, their hearts racing with each new find. Old notes, sketches, and ideas for community projects lay hidden among the chaos. Emma felt a sense of connection with Jake each time she uncovered a piece of his vision. It was like he was right there with her, guiding her hand. Then, at the bottom of the box, she found a neatly folded piece of paper. It looked different from the others, crisp and well-preserved. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened it. The words inside were written in Jake's familiar handwriting. "To my shining light, if you find this." Emma and Daniel went silent, their eyes wide with wonder. This could hold everything they needed: the hope, the dream, and maybe even the key to their future. As they read, their minds raced with possibilities and questions. What was Jake planning? What revelations lay within these words? Emma could feel an exhilarating mix of fear and anticipation pulsing through her. They were on the brink of something big. But just then, a loud knock echoed from the door, and Emma's heart sank. A chill ran down her spine as the voice of Aunt Carla cut through the air, fierce and unyielding. "I know you're in there. Open up." Emma exchanged a frantic look with Daniel, the reality of their situation crashing back over them. Could they really face Carla again? What card was she playing this time? "Do we hide?" Daniel whispered, his face a mask of fear and determination. "No," Emma replied, her mind racing. "We confront her. This is our chance to stand firm." And with that surge of courage, Emma took a deep breath, turned toward the door, and prepared for the storm to come. Emma steadied herself, heart thumping against her ribs. Every muscle in her body tensed as she faced the door, the force of Aunt Carla's presence palpable even from the other side. "Whatever happens, we'll stick together," she whispered to Daniel, who nodded, his eyes bright with shared determination. The knock came again, sharper this time, like a warning. "Open the door, Emma. We need to talk." Aunt Carla's voice was as icy as the winter wind, but it sparked a fire in Emma's belly. She refused to let fear dictate her next move. Without a word, she reached for the doorknob, feeling Daniel's warm hand cover hers. "Wait. Are you sure about this?" His voice was laced with worry. "Yes," she said, biting her lip. "We have to face her. We can't let her intimidate us. Not anymore." With a deep breath, she twisted the knob and swung the door open. Carla stood there, arms crossed and an imposing figure framed by the hallway light. Her expression twisted into a scowl, but that didn't break Emma's resolve. "What are you doing in here?" Carla demanded, her eyes darting around the room. "You think you can just rummage through all this without my permission?" Emma held her ground. "This is Jake's apartment. We have every right to be here. We're looking for answers, Carla." "Answers?" Carla scoffed, her derision cutting through the air. "What do two kids know about responsibility? You think you can just take on something like this? You're dreaming." Stinging anger bubbled up inside Emma. "We're not dreaming. Jake believed in helping others, and that's what we want to do. You don't get to decide what happens with his trust." Daniel stepped forward, drawing strength from Emma. "We're not afraid of you. We're going to figure this out, with or without your help." Carla's eyes flared with annoyance, but a flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. "You really think you can do this?" she challenged, but Emma could sense the crack in her facade. The tension in the room shifted as their united front held strong. "I do," Emma replied, her voice steady. "And I believe Jake would have wanted us to carry on his legacy. Not you." For a moment, surprise flashed across Carla's features, then anger returned, her jaw tightening. "You'll regret this, Emma. Trust me, you have no idea what you are getting yourself into." With that, she spun on her heel and stormed down the hallway, leaving Emma and Daniel standing in the doorway, breathless. "Did that just happen?" Daniel asked, disbelief written across his face, but Emma could feel the adrenaline coursing through her, fortifying her resolve. "I think it did," she said, a small, victorious smile breaking through. "But we need to hurry. We can't waste this momentum." They turned back toward the desk, where the letter lay like a beacon of hope. Emma picked it up, her hands shaking slightly, heart racing with the mix of exhilaration and fear. "Let us see what Jake wanted us to know." As they sat down and read on, wave after wave of realization crashed over them. With each sentence, Jake's words wrapped around their hearts, inspiring them to take action. He spoke of dreams, kindness, and the power of community, urging Emma to stay strong, but beneath his optimism lay something else: questions about his past, references to a mysterious mentor, and hints about complications in the trust that made Emma's stomach churn. She glanced at Daniel, who was as wide-eyed as she was. What is all this about a mentor? What secrets did Jake keep? Just then, a flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye drew her gaze back to the door. A figure stood just outside, their silhouette dimly lit in the hall. Emma's heart pounded anew as she recognized the shape. "Is that?" Daniel's voice trailed off. "It can't be," Emma whispered, a sinking feeling in her stomach. The door creaked slowly as the figure stepped into the light. "Did I hear my name?" Emma's breath caught in her throat as she realized who it was, and an uneasy knot formed in her chest. They were nowhere near ready for this encounter. Would they be able to handle yet another twist? Emma's heart raced as she faced the figure in the doorway. Shadows stretched across the room as familiarity washed over her. It was her Uncle Steve, the one person she never thought would show up during such chaos. His expression was a mix of uncertainty and urgency, and it sent a wave of anxiety crashing through her. "What are you doing here?" she managed to choke out. "Emma, I need to talk to you," Steve said, stepping inside. "It's important." Daniel shifted beside her, his brows knitting in suspicion. "And you think barging in uninvited is the way to start?" "Not the time, Daniel," Emma said softly, her heart racing at the urgency in her uncle's eyes. "What do you want, Uncle Steve?" Steve sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. I heard about Jake's passing and what's been going on with the trust. He glanced around, taking in the atmosphere thick with unresolved emotions. I'm not here to judge, he continued. But you need to know that there are forces at play, people who may not want you to do what Jake hoped for. Emma braced herself, the weight of his words curling around her heart. What do you mean? Is Aunt Carla behind this? Steve hesitated, his eyes scanning their faces, worried. Not just her. The trust is more complicated than you realize. Jake had supporters, people who believed in his plans. But he also had enemies. People who may see your efforts as a threat to their interests. What? Why didn't he tell me? Emma whispered, a chill creeping down her spine. Jake was trying to protect you, to shield you from all of that, Steve said, stepping closer. He didn't want you involved in any of the family drama or the politics surrounding the trust. But he believed in you, Emma. He thought you could make a difference. A swell of determination rushed over Emma. We're not backing down, Uncle Steve. I want to honor Jake's vision. I need to help kids just like him, who lost their way. Steve's expression softened, and for a moment, it felt as though the walls of resentment were crumbling, unveiling a glimmer of hope. Then let us work together. I want to help. Emma blinked rapidly, the warmth of a potential ally spreading through her chest. You really mean it? Yes, he replied, his voice steady. We need to be prepared, though. There will be challenges, and you might have to answer to Aunt Carla's threats. But we can outsmart her. Emma felt a flicker of fear mixed with excitement. Then let us do this, let us dive into what Jake left behind. Steve nodded, his face serious but reassuring. Together, we'll honor his legacy and make sure no one can tear it apart. As Emma glanced at Daniel, a sense of unity pulled them closer. They were no longer just facing a storm, they were preparing for battle, and they had newfound support by their side. The energy in the room shifted, and with each passing second, she felt stronger. This wasn't just about the money or the trust. It was about the love for Jake, the ache of loss, and transforming grief into something beautiful. They gathered around the desk again, poring over the letter, the unknown becoming a steady pulse of courage for them all. They outlined the goals, set foundry stones for a foundation, and shared plans that echoed with Jake's spirit. As the sun began to set, painting the room in soft hues of orange and pink, Emma took a deep breath. This might be the hardest thing we ever do, but I know we can hold on to Jake's memory. We won't let it fade. Absolutely, Daniel added, brimming with confidence. We'll make it happen, together. And just like that, the resolve solidified into a compact purpose. They were no longer the lost remnants of a broken family, they were warriors, determined to bring light to the shadows. They turned their attention back to what Jake had envisioned, igniting the passion that emanated from his words. As they carved their plan forward, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. This was the transformation they needed, the birth of a legacy that would honor Jake and reaffirm their ties as a family bonded in love and hope. And as the last rays of sun dipped below the horizon, a newfound strength illuminated the path ahead. Together, they would forge a way, no matter the challenges or the darkness waiting to oppose them, but little did they know, secrets still lurked in the corners of their family history, waiting to intertwine with all they hoped to create. Emma's heart surged with an unquenchable fire. They would face whatever came next, together. This was their moment and they would fight for it. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our journey ahead. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help get this message out there. Comment below with your reactions and share your feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's grow our community together.